drop. Look at that. Hello, I'm Isaac Ostrom. I'm a licensed tile contractor in Northern California. Thank you for watching another one of my videos. Today I'm here doing a redo. This is basically a shower that failed. It's a shower that I did, and we're going to tear it out today. I have part one of this video series. I'll put that link up right here. You can check out that video. But I was coming into this job thinking I could just repair a couple tiles. I was going to come in, we had some cracked tiles, and so my original intent was to come in and just pop those tiles. We had extra tiles and we were going to put those up, and we thought all would be well. Well, we started getting into the tear out and it became way more work than was worth it to try to just do a patch job. So we're actually going to tear this whole shower out. I mean, this is a big loss on our company. It's a full shower that we've already had a few issues with, that we've already put some labor into trying to repair this thing. I took it on as a challenge, and that's the thing about my personality that a lot of you might not know about. You see a lot of my videos. I do a lot of education, a lot of teaching. I do some touchy-feely things. But one thing about my personality too is I'm very competitive, and if I see a challenge, I want to take it on. So to me, this is a challenge. Okay, so if this shower is having issues, I want to make the best shower possible that's going to last the longest. One of the things we're going to do is switch from this ceramic. This is a really soft bisque ceramic. It's a roca tile. I believe it's made in Brazil. It's a real soft body. So let me get some of this tile out. This is the ceramic. It's this pink body glazed ceramic tile, and it just doesn't have much strength to it. It's very soft. It chips really easy, and I can just hit it. I mean, it's really soft. So the choice of the material, we're going to change to a porcelain tile, which is much harder. And that's, we use porcelain tiles on floors because they're rated, they're stronger. So we're going to actually use a 12 by 24 porcelain floor tile on these walls because the tiles were cracking. And also, the other thing that went on with this is we did a mortar bed on this shower. We did our one coat float, which we do a lot here in Northern California, but we had paper behind the float. And what the paper does is separates the float from the drywall, and you can see it's not very strong. It's not bonded to anything. The wire's just loose and it's just stapled in, so it's not a real strong wall system. So another thing I'm going to do is use an admixture in my mortar mix to make it a lot stronger mortar, and also we're not going to use the paper behind it. We're going to mechanically fasten the wire to the walls into the studs. We're going to use an admix in our mortar mix to make the substrate really strong. And so that coupled with the porcelain tile, I think we're going to build a really good shower. I'm confident in our company and what we do that we're going to build a really good shower for these guys. So we're going to tear this out. We're going to start getting into it. Okay, so the first thing I do when demoing a shower, I'm gonna score the edges, because when I take this off, I don't want the drywall to rip up farther than it needs to. The sidewalls I just scored a little bit so it didn't rip the texture and the paper off the face of the drywall, because the stud actually sits right here. So I'm gonna try to save the drywall under the mortar bed right here so I don't have to go back to the nearest stud or put a drywall nailer in. But on the top, I'm going to go ahead and use a buzz tool, go all the way through the drywall, and that should all come off in one piece. Okay, so here's a good look at the mortar bed, and here's our lath, our wire. And you can see once we started to try to take the tiles out, it just crumbled our mortar bed. And so this mortar is real soft. And when we take a bar, the whole thing should want to come out. And so that's the reason why I don't like to use paper behind my one coat floats. It's It's because you can see the mortar doesn't stick to it. There's nothing bonded to it. It's just free floating. There's nothing anchoring it in. And so the mortar system's not very strong. You can see it just crumbles when we hit it. When it's bonded to the wall, it's one unit with the wall. So we're going to go ahead and start pulling it off. Start prying. See how easy. See, when you have paper behind your float, there's nothing holding it there. Look at that.
Yeah, wow.
Look at that. So the one coat float, this one coat float with the paper, this has been done in the Sacramento area probably since the late 90s, early 2000s is when they started using paper behind the, and I think it's one of those things, you know, these tile systems, it's almost like we're guinea pigs. You know, the TCNA, everybody, they come up with these methods and they're great on paper, they might test out, but you don't find out how they really work until you got to start tearing them out, and down the road you start seeing these things. And I've had my fears about putting paper behind my one coat floats for a long time. So have a lot of other tile guys in my area. And I've had a lot of conversations with tile guys, and they've had these same cracking problems with the cheap bisque ceramic like this. So you can see how it's just coming off of the drywall in one piece. See the paper, everything is only held in with these little staples. That's the only thing holding it into the wall. And so the original installation, the original tile you could see was in here, and it tore the drywall paper off. And then we just went in, we left the old drywall on there, and we put up our Aquabar paper, and you can see how it's not bonded very well at all. So we've stopped doing this method. That tile just comes off in one chunk. So again, this is part of running a business. You know, you get these callbacks, and you know, you live and learn. You know, we all make, you know, we did this to TCNA standards. We thought we were doing it the right way. Everybody thinks they're doing it the right way. We learn from it, we get better, and we move on. And I always tell my guys, we all make mistakes, right? We all make mistakes. I say, do better next time, right? Make a mistake, just don't let it happen again. We learn, we move on, we get better. It's just coming off in large chunks. So you can see here's some of the new drywall that we did part of the repair. We left some of the old stuff on, which we probably shouldn't have done either. And now we go back in with Dent Shield or our Durock fiberglass mat backer board, the gypsum. It's a lot better, it's a lot stronger. It's got fiberglass reinforcement. The old drywall, I mean, it's just not that good. It's just soft. So we're gonna go back in with new wallboard. We're gonna cut all this out. This wall came out in about 5-10 minutes. Everything just came off. I'm going to see if this side comes off just as easy. Yeah, look at that. That's all the force it takes to separate the mortar bed from the wall. Oh, the wiggle technique. Yep. See, again, just nothing holding the mortar to the wall. It's just nothing there, man. All right, so we got the sidewalls off, and we got the back wall loosened up. And again, this is basically the whole wall wants to come out. Look at that. Nothing holding that up, man.
Wow.
Only staples. Yeah, that's how it comes out, man. And so when there's any stresses, this house has more movement than usual. All houses have movement, and in our geographical area, we have clay soils. So what happens with clay is in the wintertime when it rains, the soils expand, and when it dries out in the summer, the soils contract. So you get this movement going on between the floors and the walls. And so this is an exterior wall, and so you got these forces that start happening and pushing and pulling. That's what happened. So a free-floating wall, basically, and you can see how easy that came out. Okay, so this is interesting. When we got towards the drain, I noticed we had a little moisture right around the kerdi drain in the mortar bed. So come in here a little bit closer. So here's our drain. And you can see this laid like this. When I tore it off, the thin set on the bottom was a little damp. This thin set just looks a little damp here. And you can see everything, the thin set's just damp around the drain. That didn't really alarm me, but when we got over to here, the actual mortar is wet. Let me see if I can get a little chunk out. You can see this deck mud is wet right here. This is dry, different color, just slightly damp. Yeah, it's not like there's a ton of water coming through there, but you can see the color between dry deck mud and damp deck mud. And so we have the moisture that came through right here. I got the old flange out. We have an inside pipe cutter that we use on our drill. It actually goes down and cuts out. I was able to pry this out to get it out in one piece. It's a little chunked up from our jackhammer going in. This is the actual piece that was on. It fit in like this, fit in like there. You can see that's where the drain was, the drain cover. You can see the imprint on here. And you definitely had patches of light and dark on the deck mud. The darker areas obviously were damp, the lighter areas were dry, and there was a few areas that were really noticeable on the edge where you could tell a lot of moisture had come through. What's kind of alarming to me is that it looks like, this is what a new kerdi flange looks like. It's got this fleece on here, and I don't know how they embed the fleece onto the ABS, or it might not even be fleece. It might be some kind of adhesive that allows the thin set to bond to it. But you can see over time, this white stuff actually came off. It's all the way down to the ABS in some areas. There's a little bit left on there, but you can really see how it's worn off. And it's actually stuck to the bottom of the thin set. You see the white stuff on there? That actually came off of the drain flange, and it was probably a matter of being wet. It was either from water, so you can see it coming off like that. See, that's what that fleece is. I don't know what it's made out of, but it's coming off. And so I don't know if it's a function of water getting under there and wearing it off, but it definitely delaminated. And the white stuff is stuck to the thin set, and this thin set's all damp. You can tell all of this thin set is damp. So the water went up and over and into the deck mud and caused all of the wet areas around this flange. So here's what a new one looks like. Here's what a 2-year-old, and that's what's alarming to me. This is only 2 years old, and all of this stuff is coming off. So I don't know. I'm really baffled by it. I'll probably give this to the local Schluter reps, or maybe take it down to Courtapassie so they can show them. You know, but I would think Schluter would want to know how this is happening. Why doesn't this look like this? And it wasn't like this was stuck really good. You can see in the video, when I take this off, I mean, it peels right off. It's not like it was bonded and it ripped all this fleece off. Because right now, this fleece is really on there. You can really scratch it and it doesn't want to come off. But over time, from being wet, it looks like it emulsified to me. It looks like whatever's holding it down, the water softened it up and it came off. So that's where most of the water came from. That's why all that deck mud was moist, is because it snuck out under and over. So on a slab foundation, didn't cause any damage or anything. But okay, so we got everything torn out, down to studs. We're ready to start with a clean slate. Again, this is something, a callback to completely redo a shower sucks, but it sucks more losing sleep at night and worrying about your reputation. So I've been in business almost 20 years now. This is doing the right thing. The customers are going to be really happy when we're all done. They've been really understanding. And again, I feel bad just for them being without a shower again. This is something that should have been done right the first time. It wasn't. At the time, I did it to the best of my ability, and that's why it's important to keep learning. That's why I share this information, so you can see stuff like this. You can see what happens when you have paper behind a float. And I've been hearing a lot of stories in my area because this method is done a lot. And I've been talking to a lot of the tile guys saying, hey, if you're using a ceramic tile, a soft ceramic, I do not recommend putting paper behind your float because that wall is floating, there's too much flex, and the ceramic tile can't take it. So we're gonna rebuild this thing, gonna put in a really nice porcelain tile, and we got a good start. Clean slate, start over. So thanks for watching my videos, guys. I love you. I love being your tile coach. We'll see you on the next video.